Hey there, everybody. It's a cup of coffee on a Saturday morning. It's October 30th, 2021. I got just enough sleep to have my brain be able to work just barely enough to update the hockey algorithm today. Before apparently there's a game at 1:30. That's like 19 minutes from now. This video will be publishing about that time. And we'll talk about the games real fast, and we're getting close to the end of October. At the end of the month, the NHL subscriptions that I've sold to people expire, are through. I've fulfilled my agreement there, and after that's done, I of course I'm giving it away for free every day when I do the video. If you have supplemental questions, or you want my opinion on stuff, or you want me to do more with the file, and you are using it, you're using it, you see the value, and you have questions, I'd love to answer them. And somebody commented in an email and told me I like your educational approach to what's going on and talking about the numbers as opposed to, actually they didn't say anything about opposed to anything, but just likes the educational approach. I love it as well. They're, organizing information like this, it took me about 10 minutes to update this. And I've done videos talking about updating it, but it's the injury report. Oh my God, I didn't even do this yet. Oh, it's so funny, I forgot to do this part. This is great. Stuff's going to change. Perfect example. So I didn't update the standings. So now I just updated the standings, and things will change slightly. This formula is still weird and broken, so you still have to pull that stuff down. That works. Look at 8 games for Chicago and Arizona without a win to start the season. This is starting to get funny. Look at, because we just updated that, we now have to go back to the daily odds extractor here, copy this, and bring it back into the cube right here. And then we're going to refresh, and we'll see if anything changes. Guess not. Didn't affect too much. What we will look at are today's games and going over the educational approach. Well, the educational approach is this. The game with the highest margin has won at least 3 or 4 days in a row, and I think like 6 out of the last 7 when I glanced at it back. We won't go through them now, but we will just discuss that logically, if a team has a really high adjusted power strength and a really high margin, that team has been winning and covering like almost every day. So if you don't have a lot of time and you just want to look at this file, well, 2 games are popping out on me with super green here when it comes to margins and adjusted power, and they're Florida over Boston and St. Louis over Chicago. So the only reason St. Louis is in a higher margin over the awful Chicago is because they're only at a 46% adjusted power for some reason, whereas Florida with Spencer Knight is at a 71, and Boston with Linus Ullmark. I feel like this game would be closer, but don't listen to me. Always listen to the algorithm. So Florida at 110, while the high end of the projected score is usually a little bit too high based on looking at the history, and I'm obviously still working on it. That's still thinking like 4-1, 4-2, 5-2, or something like that. And now they won 3-2 just last night. Do we have the right date picked? Yeah, we're on 10:30. So that's what it says to do, and closely followed by a Chicago team that can't beat anybody, but St. Louis is 188, and it's not the second best pick it's not the best margin of the game, second best. So we've learned that the best matters. So at 7 o'clock, I guess it says take Florida at plus 110, right? You don't even have to take them on the puck line. All right, well, I guess I'll do that and trust what the algorithm says. Now, as for everything else, what I can tell you is when a margin's super close and under 10% really, the game clearly goes either way, and it's not as predictive because there isn't just a strong pull in one direction over the other. Like last night I was at the Washington-Arizona game, and Washington, they doubled them in shots. It was always like 30-15 in shots and stuff. And they kept getting power plays, and Ovechkin just kept firing the puck, and you just knew that eventually something was going to go in. And Sorokin had to play great. That's the other thing. Or Samsonov had to play great, the goaltender for Washington, because he has a good goalie rating, right? He's got a pretty good goalie rating, so he's good too. He's actually playing better than Vanacek, in my opinion. And so to have the coupling of all those factors together means they just can't even lose. Like Arizona can't get a goal. So this, it's interesting because this margin was good, right? The margin was really good. It wasn't the top one. Florida was the top one, and they also found a way to win against a pretty good Detroit team, right? Sorry, Carolina was the top one. All of these top margin games won yesterday, so it's getting better at this. Meaning St. Louis will probably win as well, right? But when you go game by game and you see something like this, I was thinking about it in terms of mathematics and education and gambling. If you bet on this game, the answer is you probably always take Nashville because you take the better line here because you're not really going to be in control of who wins this game. It's whoever plays better today. It's things that you can't accurately, more confidently predict are going to happen. Right? So it's like, all right, well, stay away from that game when you think about it that way. Or just, if you saw a really high line, a line that's really, really green at like 250 or something for somebody, you'd almost always take it because you got almost a 50-50 chance. So if you're getting paid more than, the equivalent in the odds, then you're making money. Montreal, is there anything else we want to say about this game? It says 3-3 tie. Have fun with that. Montreal and LA. Montreal playing a little better. Oh, yes. Another thing I want to talk about. Yeah, I guess you would go with... both these teams are playing better. It's a possible game to pick is that Islanders-Nashville game. Montreal and LA. Here, Montreal better than LA. Cal Peterson going in net for LA says 2.6, 2.1. Also a total toss-up game, basically, because the margin is too low. But it says Montreal slightly wins it. Here we have the pick of the day. Florida, because they're awesome. And they haven't lost, right? Is that it? 8-0. Yeah. Carolina 7-0. This is getting fun. Teams that are the best versus teams that are the worst. So Florida's playing a team that's okay in Boston. So that's the only reason why I'm like, well, why is the algorithm just giving this the highest margin? Isn't Boston okay? And the answer is not really. So you really enjoy that plus 110 line for Florida. Detroit and Toronto. Huge margin for Detroit. Wow, where have we come? And they're plus 245. That's the funniest thing ever. Yeah, there's a lot of old money still on Toronto, and man, did they want Toronto, but Mrazek's not good. This is so funny. Well, all right. Well, here is what I just talked about. So what if Detroit played yesterday? They're also playing better. I watched Thomas Greiss beat the Caps and save everything. So here what I talked about yesterday, plus 1.5 for Detroit, great pick. Even though they're back-to-back on the road in Toronto, Toronto's got wasn't Austin Matthews like calling out the coach for trading somebody? Like, this is a mess here in Toronto. So for fun, you have a plus 245 line that I don't know how you can't bet that line just with like $10 or something, just to watch that and laugh if they win. I think that's a fun pick of the day right there, and I probably will do that. Thinks they win 4-2. Reverse line on Detroit pays like plus 450. All right, New Jersey and Pittsburgh. Wedgwood sucks. Tristan Jarry better. Reasonable line. Margin is above 10%, so it's a bettable game, but the line's not good. And the Devils, I don't know, maybe they won't play Wedgwood. You got to check goalies. Connor Hellebuyck, San Jose. Pick 'em game. I think San Jose is falling apart, and Winnipeg is playing better. So I personally like Winnipeg, but the algorithm says it's a toss-up. These are both okay teams. Chicago and St. Louis. Yeah, hilarious, right? How do you not keep piling on Chicago, especially on a really good team like St. Louis, and not bet this at least at 188 on a round robin? I think you can at 188. It says you can take them on the puck line. It says watch Chicago just completely fall apart some more. Minnesota and Colorado. Minnesota. Cam Talbot playing really good. They're a better team still playing good against an okay team still playing okay a little better. I think they just won a game, right? That line is wrong, right? So you get a great line with Minnesota. So just empirically, mathematically, because the margin's above 10% and the line is an underdog, you would bet that. Philadelphia and Calgary. favoring Calgary. I think Calgary's pretty good. Now look at Philly also winning games. So this is because of this and both these teams playing well. I feel like I don't trust the margin of plus 14% for Calgary as much. But there's no. I mean, it's too bad that this isn't even money. If this was even money, you'd take Calgary, but the line's not good enough. So it's just a really tough game to play. But Calgary probably wins. Could go on a round. No, it doesn't go on a round robin because it's not a good line. Edmonton and Vancouver, slightly favoring Edmonton. Vancouver's okay. The goaltending is suspect. That's the problem. Interesting. Goals. That's kind of a fun game to bet the over because the margin's a little too close. And that means they'll probably be fighting for more goals. So whatever the over-under is set at, especially if you get it over 6, probably guarantees you at least a push. I feel like this is 6 or 7. I don't know. Not really a win-loss. Anyway, all right, that's the update today. If you do one thing, you bet on Florida to win.